Welcome to episode 2 of the Profit Generator interview series for 2023. In this episode, I'm taking the time to chat with a great mate of mine, Bill Corbett. With a great career working in both government and private sectors, Bill has specialised in the recruitment side of human resources. There's a lot I really want to unpack today, so let's go. Hey guys, I'm Nathan Rigney, the Profit Generator owner and Principal Accountant for NGR Accounting. If you want to continue to watch our videos, remember to hit that subscribe button, click the reminder bell, and like this video to get all our future awesome content. So Bill, welcome to our video today. It's great to have you a part of our video series.
Yeah, thank you very much, Nathan. Very excited to be here.
And so today we're talking all about, as I said before in the intro, we're talking all about talent acquisition and a little bit of HR and about recruitment. So if you're out there looking at hiring the next staff member, I suggest this is the video for you, and you're going to get a lot of good information out of today's video.
Yeah.
What is human resources and what does it cover?
Yeah, human resources is a slightly dated term nowadays. A lot of organisations refer to it as people and culture, but basically it covers the relationship between an employee and a business. So that's everything from the hiring, of course, which is really, really important, the performance within the workplace, the learning and development of the person in that time, sometimes, unfortunately, performance management, and ultimately the exit of the employee from the business.
HR policy, that sounds pretty scary, but what is a HR policy? Does a modern day business need HR policies?
Yeah, look, to a degree, I think so. A lot of the idea of a HR policy is to outline what I mentioned of the employee life cycle, to put it simply. There's various reasons for that. It ensures consistency is probably the best way to say it. And the other thing is, with certain procedures, particularly when you do get into legal situations or performance management or industrial relations type issues, having that policy in place and outlining what you have followed carries a lot of weight towards helping you make your argument. Whereas if you don't have that and you have an employee or former employee that's escalating issues, and it's like the first thing the organisation's asked is, did you follow process? And it's like, oh, don't have one. So it's a big red mark against you. Essentially, the idea of it is to basically have something outlined in writing so that it's clear on what is done in those particular instances. So, for example, a talent acquisition or recruitment policy would basically outline the steps you need to take. Or a HR policy may indicate the conduct people need to take. So, for example, there may be a clause in there around social media and what can and can't be posted on social media. So if you didn't have that, and let's say an employee posted something on there that you're like, yeah, I do
which may also affect your brand.
Your brand.
But
then if you don't have something in writing in that, that can be very difficult to manage that performance or even terminate or not come back and bite you from an unfair dismissal perspective if you do, because they actually haven't been educated and there's nothing in writing for that.
Yeah, and I guess what, from what you're saying there is, and my interpretation is that if it's not in writing, how can you then go back to the employee and say, well, I mean, A, did you even first of all tell them? How do you know? So,
correct.
So you might have verbally told them, but they may forget, but at least this way you can go back and point to, this is what we agreed to.
Yes.
But just in general business, I mean, whenever you're dealing with another party, you should really have a document in place which sets out whatever the agreement is between two parties.
Correct. I mean, you don't deal with a customer and then go, oh, that's okay, here's how it works. Oh, sure, I trust you. You understand. Oh, sweet, no worries.
One of my questions was, when should a business place a HR policy? It should be straight away. As soon as you have an employee, you put a HR policy in place.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's not to say you need a HR manager or business partner or anything like that, but you should be liaising with some sort of external party to get that in place. Unless you've got a HR background before that, you may be able to implement it yourself. But if you don't have that HR background, like for example, if I was having a small business and I wanted to implement a HR policy, I wouldn't do it myself.
What is talent acquisition?
Yeah, so talent acquisition is a bit of a confusing term. Once again, like people and culture, a little bit more modern, to be honest. But when you look at it, it should be engaging talent on a regular basis. So you may not have a role available at the moment, but you should be liaising with people in the market to engage people like you would engage a pipeline of customers. So if you were trying to build your customer database or take on new clients, you would be constantly working to a strategy towards that. Talent acquisition is about doing that before employees.
So, on that basis then, we just talked about talent acquisition, but what's the difference between being a talent acquirer, for example, versus being a recruiter?
Part of it is terminology, to be fair, but the recruiter, there's two aspects. Recruiter can denote more agency consulting. Talent acquisition is more the term for internal recruitment, and talent acquisition is also focused on that strategic element, whereas internal recruitment traditionally has been focused on transactional process of just posting a job ad, screening resumes, etc.
Whether you call it recruitment or talent, I think that there is a very important role that you play in the business's success.
Correct. And look, at the end of the day, the way I see it is recruitment is not talent acquisition, but recruitment is part of talent acquisition. So don't get me wrong, I have some roles I feel by posting a job out and getting ideal people, but there's still an element of engagement.
Yeah.
So when I speak to candidates, I'm not just going, tell me about this and doing an over-the-phone law and order interrogation. It's about marketing the role, marketing the business. I talk about my own personal experience with the company I work for as well, to give them that positive and why I like working here.
It's just a really vital, important role to really outsource it. And I found that personally because what we were doing was, when we were actually going through that recruitment process, we were taking away, I guess, our staff from doing their role, even my time trying to recruit someone. And, in the end, we just didn't end up finding the right person because, A, we didn't have the right resources to find the right person, but B, we didn't have enough time to actually put towards actually finding that person.
Yeah, there are different models that are coming out now that can be more cost effective for businesses, which is fantastic. But at the end of the day, no one works for free. I mean, you charge your clients, right? Lawyers charge their clients. So of course they're going to charge you because they need to make money and they need to live.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
That's the way it is, right? Any other service, like we pay for marketing without hesitation, we pay for IT without hesitation, so why aren't we investing in our staff?
You need to look at it as it's an investment in finding the right people.
Yeah, correct, exactly.
So as part of your services in that recruitment, I guess that talent acquisition space, what about exiting out an employee?
Yeah, look, it generally doesn't fall under a talent acquisition position. There are different ways people exit. Look, majority of time people exit voluntarily, sometimes more voluntarily than others. But there's still certain ways to do it right. From an employee perspective, giving the appropriate amount of notice, giving an appropriate handover, that sort of thing plays a huge benefit in terms of exiting that relationship on a professional level and not burning bridges. What people forget, though, is employers need to be careful of that, because if they treat employees with disdain over that period, try and make their life miserable, cause bullying, that's burning the bridges with the employee. People talk, and to be honest, if company X was to say, I had this employee, they were crap, versus this employee said, I work for this company, they were terrible to work for, they did this, and this, I personally would side more with the employee and think, that company's terrible. So we need to be careful as businesses in how we people exit.
Yeah, and I think that's a really big piece as well. Like, I think no matter what relationship you're in, whether it's an employer-employee relationship or even just in general relationship you have with different businesses or referral partners, it's always so important to make sure that you don't burn bridges. Like, I understand things might not go wrong, but, you know, can you patch up what you've had?
Yeah.
Or even if you're leaving, you're exiting out for whatever reason, it's just more of a, hey, look, this is just not working out for me now, but, you know, good luck. What steps should a business think about when employing? Maybe it's their first employee, or maybe their fifth employee, or maybe their 20th.
Yeah, look, there's different aspects. There's, of course, the avenue of using a recruitment agency. Not only could you use a recruitment agency in your traditional way, oh, here's a fee, but you can even, like, ask for assistance and pay for parts of the services as well, or hire someone on an hourly rate, for example, to help for that specific task. Now, if you were determined to do it yourself, there's various options. There's advertising, of course. There's networking, which hopefully you would be pretty well networked as well. There's online, there's Facebook. I think we're all in various groups like Everything Sutherland Shire, etc. So posting on that social media side of things. For me, which is a little bit different as a talent acquisition professional, because I have a lot of access to things that your average person is not going to. So I focus on that everything is important. So when I'm looking for a person, I advertise. Now, I focus on engaging ads. So a lot of people say now, oh, Seek is crap. Seek does this, it doesn't give you that. And it's like, well, for a start, make your ad not boring. Yeah. That's important. Connecting, networking with different people. One thing I focus on is when I hire a job, I look at the candidates that we have interviewed or possibly even just phone screened on their benefit and keep them in mind for future roles. And there has been 3 people I've employed in my time when I started in May who applied for different roles.
So even, like, I mean, on that as well, like thinking about the extra 2% you could do, how does, you know, I guess you might have some candidates, but getting that right candidate who's, you know, just so close to 100% being perfect. What are those things you can do within the business that will get that person across the line, and focusing on things that are outside the box, like, say, for example, workplace culture and...
Yeah, I guess one of the things, and when I refer to engaging ads and all that, and look, for a small business, it's probably a little bit ahead at the moment, but we focus on EVP or employee value propositions, and essentially in its simplistic form, which is what I'd recommend for small business, is why should I work here? What are the benefits of working here? So, for example, when I talk to employees and even advertise my LinkedIn headhunting calls, I look and go, this is why you should work here. I don't ask them anything. Yeah, well, I do, but not until we've had that conversation. So I think that's what's really, really important. And there's an element in that, in talking about the culture and talking about the role, which allows people to self-select in and out. So that can help a lot in getting that right employee, because you've essentially given it the option of them to...
Yeah, I mean, like what we've sort of done here at NGR Accounting is that we've, you know, going, well, what can we do? And, you know, there's little things that we do. So, like, you know, once a month we have Ellen, our massage therapist, that comes in and everyone gets a half an hour massage.
Yeah, right.
And, you know, we have, you know, I think a lot of workplaces do, but we have casual Friday. So, you know, we dress down a little bit, but, you know, we still get the job done. And then it's just the occasional, let's just have a morning tea together, just chill for 20, 30 minutes, just catch up what's going on the weekend. And I guess that also gives the ability to sort of go, well, hey, there's work life, but there's also what's happening outside of your work life, and being able to understand what's going on in someone's life. Because, like, you're so entrenched with each other's business, but then you're so entrenched together as employees or that workplace that it's kind of nice to know what's going on the outside, because that might also, you know, help you understand what's going on for them in their own personal work life as well.
True. When you have recruited in the past, do you talk about those sort of benefits with potential
Well, I know
candidates?
when we took on Sue, we definitely did mention a lot of those items, and like, we even do like a profit share. So, you know, there's a bonus every quarter that gets paid. It's based on some criteria,
of course.
And, you know, once, say for example, Sue hit that probation, she got that bonus. So for her, she's already got a job that she loves, and then to get the bonus of an extra, I guess the bonus of that bonus.
Yeah, correct. And I guess one of the things is with things like bonuses, a lot of people get concerned about the costs there, but it's also looking at, okay, so what's the additional profit that comes for that? For example, and I appreciate this may not apply to you, but it would apply to a lot of your clients, is you may have a sales-related or a revenue-generating position. So with things like bonuses, if you are paying them, it's because they've made more money.
That's right. The reason you have your employees is not because you want someone to keep your company, it's because they're performing a role.
Correct. And it's the same for the employees. So while we talk about, and actually it applies for a business owner as well, so business owner or an employee, people stigmatise people wanting money or being money focused, but the way I look at it is, I'm sorry, I love what I do, but I don't do it for free.
What do you understand about outsourcing? What do you think the benefits are, the pros, the cons?
Yeah.
Against probably even looking at your traditional model of recruitment, talent acquisition.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for example, with the consulting thing, the agency thing, which I've worked in more than I have in talent acquisition over the years, there is that element of utilising services as needed. So we had clients that would, say, do perm placements and they'd only do them from time to time. We had strong relationships there. That was fantastic. We had temp contract, paid per hour, keeps casual employees off the employer's payroll, which obviously workers' comp and all that reduces that and lowers employee headcount. If you were to go away from that and focus on, let's say, virtual assistants, which is becoming a huge trend over the last couple of years, a lot of the time they are based overseas. So I think, first of all, we need to keep in mind the way you engage that. It's not a standard recruitment process. I would personally call it more a procurement process, because you are procuring a service from outsource company XYZ, and they then in turn are employing, say, a virtual assistant. Let's say virtual assistant for this example.
And I know, we were talking off camera about this as well.
Yeah.
It was actually a quite interesting chat that we were having. The interesting part about it is that really the person who's working for you, whether they're here in Australia or somewhere in another country, they're actually they might be working for you as far as getting tasks done, but they're actually employed by a local agency that's given them the job. So I guess the question is, where does their loyalty lie?
Yeah, look, I think at the end of the day, they're accountable to their employer. Their employer employs them. If they don't get on or don't adhere to what their employer wants, that could have consequences, negative consequences. Their client is very important to them. I know, as someone who worked in agencies, my clients were extremely important to me, but at the end of the day, if something came up that was relating to what my employer said, it took priority because they're my employer and that's who I have my contract with. So that's something to really, really keep in mind. And there can be, particularly if they aren't in your local area, or when I say that, not in a position where they've been able to visit your site. Like I said, I work remotely, but I visit my site in Melbourne on a semi-regular basis. But if you have someone that's never been to your business, never met you face-to-face, there's a barrier in their understanding how that works versus having someone employed within your business.
Absolutely. Bill, jumping over the probation periods, which I think is something that, you found your employee, they're great, whatever. You've got your employment contract, which has hopefully been drafted up.
Yes.
Always, and I might get you to touch on that in a second, but, and I know you're not, an expert in that area, but probations.
Yes.
Now, what is a probation?
Yeah.
B, what time period should it be?
Yep.
And I'd love to hear more about your understanding of that.
Yeah, so first of all, it should be in the contract that you definitely have prepared when you've hired the new person.
And is that something that you must legally do, or is that something that's just a good idea?
Yeah, look, in terms of that legal side, Nathan, it's probably, I wouldn't say I'm 100% comfortable in answering that, but definitely standard practice. And I think that yeah, you wouldn't do it.
I think
you just wouldn't do it regardless.
Even with my clients as your accountant, I would suggest if you're ever going to put like an employee on, you definitely want an employment contract.
Yeah.
Even for a casual.
Yeah, and there's plenty of resources on Fair Work that can help with that and different templates. So it's not super, super difficult if you don't have the budget to get the advice on that. Now, probation period, first of all, let's just keep in mind, probation period is not a part of your recruitment process. A probation period is a fail-safe, a plan, I say plan Z, not even a plan B, if things don't work out. So you should have done all your due diligence, so you've got the perfect employee.
So you've done your background
done
checks.
Your background, yeah, everything done properly, and it's just there if it doesn't work out. Now, there are different requirements depending on size of business and various things, but let's just say standard is 6 months. So 6 months is the absolute minimum. Okay, so within that 6 months, you really need to take time to assess the person. So by that, I don't mean just looking over the side going, oh, they made a mistake in that Excel document or anything like that, because that's just petty, right? You need to be engaging with the person regularly, every day, first month, couple of times a week, and it would get less and less and less. The conversations, though, need to be quite productive in the sense there needs to be clear objectives. You also need to give feedback, and people hear feedback and automatically have a negative connotation. Feedback is feedback. If you have someone in your organisation, no matter how skilled or qualified they are, and just go over there and do it, not going to perform well. You need to be having those conversations and guiding, because they might be doing this, and if you haven't been doing that and giving the feedback, it's very easy to go, for 3 months they've been doing it this way. It's like, well, you've never told them, so it's your fault, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so probation, and I think that covers everything I want to talk about.
Yeah, sure.
There was one final question before we wrap up today.
Okay, yeah.
There is a local business I know that trials staff members when they put someone on.
Okay, yeah.
Now, they do pay them for their trial, but and this particularly I think happens in the hospitality space.
Yeah, it
this
does
person wasn't in
happen quite a lot.
hospitality, so it was more of a secretarial type role. But they would trial someone for a week, and is that something that's legal that can be done? Can you trial someone and pay them, and then give them the invitation a week later to leave?
Yeah. Okay. So, yes, you can do it. My recommendation would be to engage them as a casual employer. In fact, agencies do it all the time, right? If you hire someone as a temp and go, I want to give it a couple of weeks or a month, basically that's what you're doing. You're just
really a casual staff member, yeah.
Group third party, yeah, correct. The only risk you have there is you may be limiting yourself, because if, let's say that I was in a permanent job and someone came to me and goes, we want to offer you the role, but we're offering you as casual for 1 week or whatever it may be, as a trial period where you point it, I would say no. I'm like, no, I'm not leaving my...
Because it's about your security.
Yeah, I'm not leaving my job for that. So that's one thing. Yes, you can. Is it going to get you the best person? Probably not. You're probably going to have people that will self-select out. So if they've got a job.
Well, yeah. Well, Bill, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Nathan.
Now, before we head off and you leave, I do want to say thank you very much for your time and your expertise and knowledge that you've shared today.
Yes.
But what I want to know is, where can people find you? Because you do have Osiris People, which is a business that you're starting up.
Yeah.
Along, your own business, which is congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And I guess maybe just give us a little bit of an understanding about Osiris People, and then also where can we find you if people who are watching want some assistance from you to find that right staff member and to go through that recruitment process.
Yeah, so look, I mean, as you know, my full-time position is with Stanley Black and Decker, and have no intention on leaving there or anything, but Osiris People is something that I've become really passionate about, because I've been given a lot of advice, including you, over the years, to different businesses in the Sutherland Shire, and it's something I really, really, really love. I totally embrace it because I love applying my skill set to small and medium enterprise. To find me at the moment, considering my business is very much in the infancy stage, probably LinkedIn is the best aspect. I'm very active on LinkedIn, and you should be easy enough to find me, I think.
And of course, look, if you can't get on LinkedIn, you can't find Bill, certainly get in touch with us. here at NGR Accounting, we're happy to pass on Bill's details so that you can engage Bill to help you through that process of finding the right staff member in your business and just even getting some advice on them.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of what I want to do is more about advice. I don't plan on being like a recruitment agency. In fact, I'm identifying as a talent partner because I want to provide support to you in finding that right person. And that may be running an ad, that may be sitting on an interview with you, that may be doing a thorough reference check, whatever it may be.
Well, Bill, thank you so much for your time today. You've definitely shared a lot of knowledge, and I think for anyone out there who has a business that's maybe looking at starting a new employee or maybe adding another staff member to their team, I think a lot of the knowledge you've presented will help them find the right person and help them grow their business. So thank you so much, Bill.
Yeah, thanks so much, Nathan. And once again, thanks for having me, and thank you to all the listeners for hopefully watching the video I'm in.
If you want to continue to watch our videos, remember to hit that subscribe bell, like the video, and be sure to get all our awesome content. I'm Nathan Rigney, the Profit Generator. I look forward to seeing you next time.